All right, welcome to another edition of Star Wars: The Old Republic. I was with a group, but I had to go do some stuff, and then they got full up. So I'm just doing heroics uh, for for now, just to get basic resources. I'm not doing anything fantastic. Um, and that's fine. All right, so I'm going to try to play stuff in the background and hope the game doesn't quit on me. And that way we're doing two things at once here. And let me go ahead. I don't really need the volume on this thing as much. Okay, master volume is pretty low. All right, here we go. Now it should still record. And I'm going to play this Millionaire Morning Show. Worst leadership in America. You know, this guy that they're criticizing, you have to understand that he's a politician and he doesn't want to ruffle the feathers of the crowd, even though they're technically already ruffled. So that's the real reason he doesn't engage, even though it's so embarrassing for him to stand there and just take people's shit that they throw at him. You know, and I think he's just on the way out. Johnson, I don't think is ever going to get elected again for anything. So, you know, but that's my opinion.
That the budget was reached and they passed a roughly $17 billion budget over in Chicago yesterday. All right, let me say that again. Roughly $17 billion budget over in Chicago. One of the problems was the initial budget, because it was voted down almost 4 times. The initial budget called for a $300 million increase in property taxes all across the board. Now, one of the things that Brandon Johnson was trying to do when he first got into office was he tried to take the Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden pitch and say, you know what? It's the rich. It's the rich people's fault. Even though they pay the majority of the taxes, even though they're the ones that invest in everything that happens in Chicago, it's the rich people's fault. He villainized rich people and he said that they need to pay their fair share. One thing that he wasn't counting on is the fact that people that have resources are much more easily able to move. They're much more easily able to relocate. They're much more easily able to, find a better space for them to live if the business environment, or you start to villainize them and say that it's not conducive for their lifestyle. Yeah, they can. Absolutely. But neither here nor there. He tried to pass a $300 million property tax increase onto the people. So you would ask yourself the question and you would say, well, why would he try to do that? Why would he try to raise property taxes? Because Chicago in fiscal year 2024, $250 million in a hole. Fiscal year upcoming 2025 is facing a $942 million deficit. $942 million budget deficit. And that largely is because A, they have not controlled their spending. B, they have not poured into the community that will allow for them to be able to generate more tax revenue from supporting businesses. And C, they decided that they wanted to support the migrant crisis. Now, nothing could be more in your face considering what happened in his previous election and that he was touting just a few months ago a new $100 million contract for a staffing company in order to continue to support the migrant crisis, even though they know that the voters largely across the entire nation is against it. And he was facing every single headwind. You got Chicago red, you got Chicago flips red. He goes viral every single day, almost to the point to where they have largely considered him across multiple media outlets, Brandon Johnson, mayor of Chicago, along with all of the aldermen, the worst mayor in any major city in the United States of America. Now, I think that could be accurate. There is nobody bringing more negative visibility to their city than Chicago's Brandon Johnson, a former social studies teacher, and the chaos continues. Fox News recently did a breakdown after this budget hearing and seeing everybody going off on Chicago. Every single city council meeting, this is what they came up with.
The Chicago City Council narrowly approving Mayor Brandon Johnson's 2025 budget, including a controversial $40 million short-term loan for a city already swimming in debt, all part of a chaotic meeting where residents slammed the mayor.
You caused all this money to go to illegal immigrants. Anything that you all pass is not genuine.
You have not protected the people of Chicago from invasion.
He wants to pour a $40 million line of credit and put the city in even more debt. It's your fault that because you gave half the money to illegals.
Imagine you saying that you have a balanced budget while taking out a $40 million. Oh. Imagine, okay, let's bring it back down to something that's a little bit more manageable, right? Imagine you and your household and combined, let's use the average household income, that's everybody inside of the house across the United States of America. And the average household income is somewhere between $67,000 and $72,000 a year. I think that that's going a little bit lower. We're going to get into the layoffs a little later on in the show. Imagine y'all combined, you make $42,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? She brings in an additional $28,000 a year. I think my mental math is correct. That'll give you about 70. And then y'all pay y'all taxes. And then after you doing your bills and you writing out all of your budget and you going through and you say, okay, so we got to pay this for the mortgage and we got to pay this for electric. We got to pay the property taxes. So that's going to go into escrow. Yeah. All right, babe. We balanced the budget. And she said, okay, honey, what we looking at? Well, guess what? We got to go take some payday loans out. High interest rate payday loans. The creditors are lowering our credit scores, so we probably going to have to take it out at a higher interest rate. We're going to refinance our cars. The car payment is going to be a little bit lower. However, the term is going to be longer. And she going to say, well, honey, listen, I'm not in charge of the budget because you the man and I'll let you do your thing. However, I got some concerns. And you say, well, what's going on, baby? And she said, well, listen, if we look at this budget and we wind up paying more than triple what the car is worth because we refinance the loan just to have a lower payment, that doesn't actually help us. That put us in a worse position. But the budget is balanced. Now, she may roll with that. All right? She may see it through if she can see some light at the end of the tunnel. Because, sometimes you got to take a step backwards in order to take 2 steps forward. She may see that. But then you throw a caveat on there, right? And you say, all right, but listen. I know that the budget is a little tight, but we going to get through it. She said, okay, baby, I'm with you. I believe in your vision. We going to get to it. We going to make it. I believe in your vision. We all in. I'm going to give you my paycheck. You give me your paycheck. We 100 in, no 50-50, 100. But then you say, but listen, my homeboy is coming to stay over though. And we gonna have to take it used to be the bedroom for the kid. We gonna make them get on bunk beds. They're gonna share a bedroom. And we gonna have my homeboy that just got out of prison. He gonna come and stay with us, and we gonna spend some extra money to make it homey for him. So we got to go buy some new furniture. We got to make sure that the bills is gonna be a little bit higher because we got more mouths to feed. We gonna pay for them to be able to eat with us at the dinner table every day. We gonna get them some new clothes. We got to make sure that they protect it. And then the wife gonna say, "Hold on, wait. What do you mean? Your homeboy is getting out of prison?" Oh no, listen, it's cool. I mean, they just gonna sleep in the side bed. But wait a minute, you telling me we gotta put our kids in the bunk beds? I mean, I was with you, but I didn't know that I was gonna have to give you my paycheck so we can make sure that they got furniture too. That's the equivalent of what they dealing with over in Chicago when it comes to people that are illegally coming into this country and then taking advantage of your tax dollars, while at the same time you have to raise property taxes, or your cost of living is going to go up while your quality of life goes down, because the services is going to be dedicated to them, not be used for you. Is that a good analogy? I want to make sure that I break this down from a C student's perspective, because if I just say, oh, well, you know what, they funding the migrant crisis and, you know, they want to do a property tax increase and the millages and all of that, it don't really hit the same. But if I explain it to you a little bit differently and say, well, hold on, man is coming home from prison. He was your homeboy back in high school, and he said, I ain't got nowhere to go, so I'm going to come to your house, and he going to be standing around cooking food naked, and he going to be taking up all of the resources. He ain't going to get no job, and he going to be eating at the dinner table, and the kids is going to be on the bunk beds, and you got to pay for furniture and food and clothes for him like he a child, and no benefit that comes along with it. He might bust down your wife if you leave him home too long. It hit a little bit different, right? This is the equivalent of what we are dealing with in the United States of America if you have designated yourself as a sanctuary city. You have basically signed up for Melvin with no job to come and cook eggs. Some of y'all are familiar with Baby Boy. Some of y'all ain't from that generation. But you signed up for Melvin to turn around and say, you want some eggs? That's what Chicago is. Chicago is Baby Boy, and Melvin, except for Melvin don't have no job, is cooking eggs in y'all city. And Mayor Brandon Johnson and all of y'all aldermen and J.B. Pritzker is over there basically sanctioning this. You want some eggs? Chicago, you want some eggs? And so now you can see why the people that are familiar informed are saying, hey, listen, why are we still voting blue? Why are we not getting Melvin on up out of here? You do anything to my mama, cuz it's on everything. Melvin grabs you by the neck. Jody? He told you if y'all was on lockdown, he'd make you fix it. If you was on lockdown, I'd make you fix it.
Shit.
Got the church helping them to buy y'all properties. Chicago steal it, they resell it, they selling it to migrants. The church is making sure that they buy y'all properties. They taking over your schools. Remove shot spotter. No police presence. Planned Parenthood pulled up to the Democratic National Convention and put the city of Chicago even in worse debt. And even while the Democratic National Convention was going on, they put all of the police presence there, and the neighborhoods was left in chaos. And you see more shootings and things going wrong in Chicago. And at the same time, they saying that they're going to fleece all of the business owners, including sports teams. That's going to basically drive revenue even further into the hole. This is Chicago. This is why you have to be informed as a voter so you can make a better decision, so Melvin ain't cooking eggs in your crib. You go to work every day. You come the whole time you at work. You know what I'm saying? Your wife working a different shift than yours. She's supposed to be sleeping. She wake up. She smell. What is that? I'm not used to cooking in the daytime. She go downstairs and she see Melvin. Melvin got his schlong. And he cooking eggs. At first she get offended. What is that? He keep eating all of your kids' fruit snacks. All of the fruit snacks is gone. Ain't no leftovers ever. Now you sitting there telling us, oh man, I don't like what's going on in the economy. It costs us more for food, gas, and groceries. No, it's because Melvin is staying there. That's the equivalent of a migrant crisis. Let's continue.
Chicago reporter William Kelly joins me now.
Too,
William, you were
we
inside that budget vote. How embarrassing was this for Mayor Brandon Johnson, even with the budget ultimately passing?
Even after it passed, nobody applauded, Todd.
I see you, Messi.
As a lifelong Chicagoan, I love Chicago with all my heart. I'm not a Chicago basher, and I love those people. It brings tears to my eyes, Todd, who came to Chicago City Hall week after week. It took 4 times for this budget to finally pass. $17 billion.
Happy birthday,
These
Rosita.
real Chicagoans, they made their voices heard. They made it clear they don't trust Brandon Johnson, Mayor Johnson, with 50 cents. Okay, they know he's just going to spend that money on migrants and violent teenagers. Brandon Johnson says it himself, Todd.
You've been coming on this show for years.
D-Fam, I know you want my attention. I'm not going to give it to you today because I got a schedule to keep. D, I know you want my attention. I'm not going to give it to you today. Usually I address the Dusty Dusties, but I got a meeting that I got to prepare for. I can't get distracted today. I got to stay on point. I know y'all like bad little kids. You want me to pull you out and bring you to the front of the congregation and say, oh, man, you Dusty. I can't believe you. I'm not going to get distracted today. It's not going to be the Millionaire Distraction Show today. We're going to stay on point.
Your passion for the Windy City is definitely noted during each appearance. You mentioned the migrant. Brandon Johnson, under his tutelage, under his leadership, Chicago has spent $527 million taxpayer dollars on migrants. So my question for you, Will.
He ain't even been in office but a hot minute. He ain't even been in office but a hot minute. $527.5 million. And that's not truly really capturing the true cost of housing a migrant crisis. We're not talking about police presence. We're not talking about school resources. We're not talking about sanitation. We're not talking about transportation. We're not talking about infrastructure costs. The true cost, when you go to work every day, right? Let me break this down. And I want y'all to look at everything from a business perspective, all right? This is why it's called the Millionaire Morning Show. We got to bring it back to the money. Because we can look at it and say, okay, well, that's what they spent on paper. That's not the true cost of a migrant crisis. $527.5 million in less than a year. Since May 2000, less than a year and a half, less than 2 years, May 2023, they've spent almost $600 million on a migrant crisis. When you go to work every day, okay? When you go to work every day and you say, hey, man, okay, let me rephrase it. I'll bring it back for you so you'll actually understand it. So D-Fam can stop feeling some type of way and I'm not paying them attention, all right? When you chilling and you chilling with a chick and y'all start to get into that conversation of, well, what do you do for a living? And she trying to figure out how much you make. She looking up your LinkedIn while you go to the bathroom and all of that, right? And you say, I make whatever, $80,000 a year, $100,000 a year, all right? That's not the true cost of compensation from your job, right? The true cost of an employee, and this is why y'all really need to start educating yourselves and becoming more informed, even from a business perspective, is not just based off of whatever it is that you make per hour or what your salary is. Payroll taxes cost. Healthcare coverage costs. Life insurance costs. You being able to be housed as an employee costs. Relocation services costs. Dental, eyes, children, all of that stuff. The true employee compensation package is much greater. If you ask your job, if you ask HR, hey, what is my total compensation for my, because that's not how much you make. It's not how much you take home. The total compensation is an all-encompassing, inclusive number that also take into consideration every single benefit that you use or don't use. Tuition reimbursement, all of that stuff, travel costs, you going here, you going there. The cost of being able to have you as an employee is much, much higher than whatever your salary is or whatever it is that you're taking home, okay? And it's the same thing when it comes to the migrant crisis. It's not just the amount of money that they allocated out of the budget to say, this is what we spent on migrants. When you have to call police services out, when you got to call a firefighter, when you got to jail them and lock them up, when you have to send them before a judge, when you have to update infrastructure, when you have to start accommodating or hiring more employees in order to process these people, to run the shelters, to make costs or the interest payments that come along with buying property in order to have these people there. when you have to put them in schools and then they have to add more teachers, or, they have to accommodate for more classroom space, all of the costs that's heating and cooling, everything. The total cost of a migrant crisis is probably more than double whatever the number is that they're telling you that they spent on it. And so when y'all looking at y'all $942 million budget deficit that y'all was facing in 2025, and they looking to raise prices and the cost of living on y'all, you are the ones that's the taxpayers that's paying for it. You the sucker. You the fool. Then this is why the name of this show is called Failed Leadership. You failed. I'm not even talking about Brandon Johnson yet. You failed as Chicagoans to vote in and inform yourself the right people, because I will tell you, aside from Chicago Flips Red, aside from Chicago Red, aside from the people that's out in the suburbs that was all red, that core inner city that keep Illinois blue, y'all the problem, because the leadership is a reflection of the voters. The leadership is a reflection of the people. Don't blame them, blame you. Don't blame them, blame you. Because every single person in Chicago that sit there and you can't get a good police response time, but you never showed up to the polls or informed yourself on who you should be voting for, and you deserve that. I want your money, but you get no representation. I never knew that, you can pay for something and don't get any services, and politics is one of the only places that you can do that. Politics is the only place where you can pay for a service and you don't even complain about whether or not it's good or not. You go into a restaurant, you go and spend your money, you're going to want something for free. You're going to eat the food, and you're going to want it for free, and you're going to want an apology, or you're going to post a bad review. But you won't even show up to the mother effing polls to vote in the right leadership to ensure that the people is actually working for you. They told you to get the freak out, and you paying their salary. How crazy is that? You pay for every last one of these aldermen's salary, and you can't even get no representation. They don't even want to hear nothing that you talk about. They ain't listening to you. Politics is the only place where you can complain about a service, or you don't actually have to have good service because you've basically given them a blank check to kick you in your butt and pay for whatever it is that they want to pay for without any explanation whatsoever. Ain't that crazy? Failed leadership start with the people. You know how we look at these schools and we say, oh man, it's so messed up in there? It's the parents' fault. It's the parents' fault first. It's not the teacher. It's not the institution. It's not the supervisors. It's not the security. It's not the police officers. It's your fault. It starts at home. Everything that you see in these failed cities, it starts in the household. Let's get to it, y'all. We got to get there.
William, would Mayor Johnson have had an easier time passing a budget if, he didn't spend so much money for illegal migrants at the expense of tax-paying city residents?
Well, that was almost to the penny the amount that Mayor Johnson wanted to raise property taxes on the real people of Chicago. Thankfully, I had the opportunity to call it out as a migrant tax, which motivated people to come to Chicago City Hall and literally shout at the mayor, which I guess is what was necessary. But yet, Mayor Johnson still got the votes from his friends and allies in the Chicago City Council. The vice mayor, here's an example of where we're at in Chicago right now, okay, Todd? The vice mayor, a guy named Alderman Burnett, convicted of bank robbery, okay, of armed robbery, spent time in jail. He's a Chicago City alderman. He's getting paid, in addition to his aldermanic salary, for almost $500,000, okay, to be vice mayor, which essentially has absolutely no duties or responsibilities other than waiting to possibly become mayor if something were to happen to Mayor Johnson. So in Chicago, if you really, really, really want to rip off the people of Chicago, don't rob a bank. Become an alderman.
Woo! Spit. Talk Will J. Kelly in the building. This is the same person that was approaching the mayor and approaching the mayor's office, and they was trying to kick him out. Talk about it. Talk about it. Listen, you won't have to go out and rob a bank. Y'all playing the game backwards. All of the criminals, y'all out here taking PPP loans, running schemes and scams, trying to finesse people out of a bag. You ain't got to do that. Just become a politician. Who gonna stop you? Who gonna stop you? Become a politician. Ain't nobody tripping about what's happening in Chicago. You don't have to go out and rob a bank. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to worry about putting if you a felon before you run in Chicago. You can rob a bank, literally, and then become the vice mayor of Chicago. Straight from prison into the politician seat.
That's wild. That is a wild story you just told us. The vote got so heated, the mayor basically cleared out the room, said he didn't want the citizens there. This is their city. They get an opportunity to weigh in on this, and the mayor said, get out. Has Chicago finally reached the tipping point that so many cities and towns, and quite frankly, the United States of America reached in November with the vote, that they're finally going to vote out the Mayor Johnsons, the Mayor Lightfoots, and bring some sanity back to Chicago?
Well, it's an old joke, Todd. Is Chicago ready for reform? And the fact is that it might just be, because we see this money going to migrants. I did some math myself, okay? Mayor Johnson has 100+ staffers. They're all making six figures. Many of them have become notorious as a result of, at William J. Kelly on X videos where I literally have to chase them down the hallways of City Hall to talk to them. One of them in particular, Kennedy Barkley, is famous for saying F the pigs. Okay, this is her. This is what I guess her number one qualification for becoming a Mayor Johnson staffer. Okay, 100+ staffers,
wow.
Six figures apiece, adds up to millions upon millions of dollars out of the pockets of real Chicagoans. Yeah, I think it might be Chicagoans might be ready for some real change, some real reform, Todd.
Yeah, and
I don't think. Listen. You don't need hardly any of those staffers. Hundreds of staffers for Chicago. Jesus Christ. It's amazing. It's amazing. What? Welcome to America, where you can come up and do whatever you want to do when you want to do it, and you can use taxpayer dollars as a result of it. All right?
I don't know. It's a bitch, man. What can I tell you? It's a fucking bitch. The corruption, I mean, that's like standard business, I would think. Alright, did I get this or no? Two more. Okay, so we got that. Let's kill this guy and move on to the next mission. I don't want to get out of this screen until I am sure that I finish this thing. Because if the game stops, I have to come all the way back here and start over. Best to wait till I'm done with this guy. house.
Bug throw one up. No one chop. That's it. Glad to hear it. I would.
Nakmanoya chos nawe kuchuso yo mata chitoya.
I'll teleport to the next one. That way, if I get kicked off, I'm already there and I can just continue the mission. Okay. So I'm going to try to change it to something else. Millionaire Morning Show. Nah, that my mom used to love Chicago. I don't know why. I guess when she was young, she used to have a lot of fond memories from Chicago. Woman shot outside.
Woman is recovering from being shot multiple times outside of a Metro Atlanta nightclub.
Wow.
Check it out.
Now at 5, an Atlanta woman recovering after she was shot 5 times. This all happening outside of a nightclub. Another woman in custody accused of the crime.
And Creona Merriweather spent almost a week in the hospital for her injuries. Atlanta News First Yasmina Alston is live at the Forest Park Police Department. So, Yasmina, you spoke with the victim's mother, who wants this violence to stop.
Yeah, that's right. This mother wants people, especially young people, to put down the guns. And she also wants establishments to be more aware of what's going on when it comes to safety and security.
I was probably like 15 feet behind them, and I heard the gunshot.
The most terrifying moments for Katrina Perry, realizing those bullets struck her daughter. Creona Merriweather was shot 5 times while walking up to King of Diamonds Atlanta nightclub to celebrate her birthday.
I just don't even understand how it even happened. When I looked up, this young lady was shooting and shooting and shooting my child.
Merriweather was hit in the arm, chest, and leg. One of her friends was also shot once.
I got to see about my baby. And I got to try to see about my baby friend. These are my babies. I've been had these kids since they were little kids. Like, they expect certain safety from me. They never had to feel unsafe while they were with me.
Turns out 25-year-old Merriweather knew the suspect, but the motive for the shooting remains unclear. Forest Park police say Jakia Ford was arrested, and Perry is now urging people to put the guns away.
The kids, the teenagers, they got all the guns, and nobody ain't teaching them that we are supposed to be a family and we supposed to stick together.
Perry claims the alleged shooter was waiting for her daughter at the Forest Park nightclub, so she also wants establishments to be more aware of what's happening on their properties.
I feel like it gotta be more done.
Meanwhile, Merriweather is at home recovering and told us she is doing okay via a quick video call.
I never thought something would happen, something like that would happen to me.
Shout out to my bonnet queens. Shout out to my bonnet queens. Now, Anton from AntonDaniels.com is consistent in that I don't believe in people being shot and losing their life. But this sounds like it was personal. This sounds like daughter not telling mama what she was really into. If somebody was waiting for her at the spot in order to do something to her, and they shot her multiple different times, and it was going in, they was going in, Sound like daughter was into something that she probably wasn't supposed to be into. Again, I'm never advocating for people to lose their life, but I'm going to advocate for you guys to probably stay out of the club, especially in Atlanta. And you don't have to worry about telling people to put down the guns. Ain't nobody putting down their guns. Ain't nobody going to listen to your message and say, oh, yeah, okay, you know what? Her mama said that we got to put down the guns, so I'm going to go ahead and have my come to Jesus moment. You better protect yourself. You better be careful of the spaces that you find yourself in. And don't get involved in this foolishness. I know y'all want to go to King of Diamonds. You want to be in the middle of it. You want to be in the mix instead of listening on after hours and live streaming and jumping on the live stream with us and having a conversation. You want to be in the mix. Well, guess what? That's what comes with it. Find yourself in a negative space, you're going to have some negative consequences. They're saying that a lot of these beachfront condos and hotels over in Miami is sinking. Check it out.
And developing now, sinking concerns across South Florida. A new study revealing that dozens of beachfront condos and hotels are sinking right into the ground at unexpected rates. Local 10's Leanne Morning sat down with one of the study's authors and joins us live from Miami Beach with a closer look at this data. Leanne.
Yeah, he said some of the things that they found in this study were surprising, but we had questions because this, of course, affects thousands of people that live in these buildings and, of course, the folks that come and visit and stay at these beachside hotels. Should we be scared? Should we be worried?
I like you too, John. Shout out to you.
Who helped pen the study. Should residents who live in these buildings be concerned at this point?
No.
35 coastal buildings from Miami Beach to
He said no. Okay, listen, wait on it. Wait on it.
Sunny Isles are sinking. That's according to a study published Friday from researchers at the University of Miami.
I think what was a bit surprising in this study is of how consistent it was over a long distance of how the ground settled.
Dr. Gregor Eberle is one of the study's authors. He says this sinking, officially known as subsidence, is not unique to South Florida.
So for example, in New Orleans or Mexico City or Venice is a classic example that the whole city sinks down. Compared to these examples, it's relatively small.
The study came about after the 2021 collapse of Champlain Tower South. And while they didn't find any subsidence there, they did find it elsewhere.
The building next to it, however, has a pretty high subsidence rate.
Researchers used satellite imagery to map down to the millimeter how much and how fast these buildings are sinking. They looked at satellite data from 2016 to 2023 and found subsidence ranging from 2 to 8 centimeters.
I was surprised that it happened at all because limestones like we have in Florida are very stable. The rates were not that great.
Dr. Everly says sturdier limestone to the south of the research area does a better job at holding up those heavy buildings than softer ground to the north.
The sand portions will always compact a little bit over time. It's very slow motion and the structural integrity will not be changed by sinking it down a little bit.
So what Dr. Eberle says is that this study should spawn further study to continue to monitor this and also spin off into other forms of research into this. He also said that, again, there's no need for alarm. We also understand that some of the city leaders that were included in the study say that they're going to be looking at this. In fact, the mayor of Surfside says he wants to bring it up at the next commission meeting.
You ain't got to worry about it. Everybody that buys property in Florida, I also got a bridge to sell you. Everybody that builds homes and buys property in Florida, I have a bridge to sell you. If you are going down there in order to have a vacation or you looking to retire, just rent something. Honest to God. Just get your money up to the point to where you can rent something, enjoy it, be a snowbird, and come back home. If you are looking to make a real estate investment into Florida, especially South Florida, you are going to be highly disappointed in the future, I'm telling you. Part of it is if you build close to, you know what I'm saying, the water, there's other consequences that come along with it. The Florida real estate market is in turmoil. The Florida real estate market is in turmoil. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. That is a block club conversation, but I'm telling you, for the people that are building and buying and trying to have a long-term investment property in Florida, They're not going to tell you that everything is in turmoil because they don't want y'all to leave. They want to incentivize people to stay there. But it's a reason why all of the insurance companies are pulling out of Florida. Anyways, and then last but not least, something a little fun for y'all. Michael Jordan has finally sold his Highland Park home, his Chicago area home, for $9.5 million, substantially lower than what he listed it for over 9 years ago, but he finally got rid of it. Check it out.
It has become a popular tourist destination for those visiting Highland Park. Everyone needs a picture in front of the gate of the Michael Jordan house. Maggie Antolon is taking one for her father.
Oh, the reason why me and my dad have all these amazing memories is because he's the #1 Michael Jordan fan.
Although, as of this week, Michael Jordan is no longer the owner of this house. After more than 12 years on the market, the home finally has a new owner.
I don't think we've seen
12 years,
something where a home has been on the market owned by a celebrity for this kind of time.
Jordan first listed the 56,000 square foot home for sale in 2012, asking $29 million for the property, which includes a full-size basketball court, putting green, cigar room, workout room, as well as 9 bedrooms and 15.5 bathrooms. After lowering the price a couple of times, in 2015, Jordan settled on a new asking price of $14.855 million. The digits added together equal Jordan's jersey number 23.
He had that asking price from 2015, $14.855 million, until yesterday when the sale closed. So 9 years, he didn't budge on his asking price at all.
The undisclosed buyer closed on the property for $9.5 million. Real estate columnist Bob Goldsboro says that despite Jordan's star power, the building has a 90s institutional look to it and has some other challenges for the seller.
The land is sort of landlocked behind some other houses, railroad tracks, and a nature preserve. So the land isn't easily developable.
The real estate agent who sold the house has not responded to our calls, so it's unclear what the buyer plans to do with this property, including whether they'll keep the iconic 23 on the front gate.
Yeah, Chicago area is not really a place where a lot of millionaires or billionaires are looking to move to. Secondly, nobody wants a home that you got to basically buy it for and then put just as much money into renovating it and making it modern. Number 3, you know, the nostalgia wears off after a while. And okay, yeah, this is Jordan's former mansion, but the property taxes and everything else that comes along with it, and it's landlocked, and so I don't know. You know, I can see why it took over 12 years to sell the property and why it only sold for $9.5 million, which also tells you that just because you spend money on real estate does not necessarily mean that it's going to go up in value. Just because you buy real estate does not necessarily mean that it goes up in value. I have a real estate strategy where I like to stay firmly where solidly middle-class people and the majority of the buyers are looking for that desirable sweet spot, price, location, all of that. We're going to talk about that this afternoon in Block Club of what my real estate strategy is as I continue to bring y'all along for the journey. But I have a specific space. And then more importantly, what the heck you going to do with 16 bedrooms and 19 bathrooms or something crazy like that? What you going to do with all of that space? You know what I'm saying? So I'm rethinking building a big house. Honest to goodness, I am rethinking building a big house. You got to look at your personality. You know what I'm saying? It's not about flaunting. It's not about flossing. I love where I stay. Downtown, right in the thick of things. Live, work, and play all in the same area while at the same time being able to come back out to the suburbs or whatever. So it's about comfort. It's about convenience. It's about safety. It's about being in the right pocket from a financial perspective.
I guess I should be thankful that I'm actually recording and playing at the same time. Because that's the only reason I didn't produce a lot of Star Wars videos, is because I couldn't record. John. I would never, now that I know what I know about property, just trying to find a house in San Antonio, and the only thing I could afford was a shack, and even then I was short $2,000. Yeah, about $2,000 for closing costs. You know, my mom had helped me with that, I would have been out of the ghetto apartment that I was in. But that woman just didn't give a shit. I'm telling you. Here we go. Do this one. Thing about Nar Shaddaa is there's a lot of heroic missions. It's like 7 or 8 of them, I think. All right. Let's see what we got. Let's put them up there.
I want to talk about this last thing, and it's Stephen A. Smith. What did I say?
Playing both sides.
The year of 2024, December month specifically, is the year of me bringing y'all back to the front of the congregation and saying that I told you so. I said that Stephen A. Smith, even during the election, wants to be Republican. He's just not sure what the backlash is going to be from the people. I have not seen this video yet, but I seen the title of it and I said, well, let's just have this at the end of the show and let's have a conversation about it, all right? But I've been saying that Stephen A. Smith wanted to turn Republican, and he keep on acting like he don't really believe in the values of it. He been trying to work his way over to the Republican Party, and I think that the problem with that is not that we're not going to accept everybody coming into the party. I think that the problem with it, I agree, KB. That's why I'm looking to get into my own wallet. I think that the problem with it is that now they want a bandwagon. It's the popular thing to do to say that you're a MAGA fan or that you're a part of the Republican Party. I just wish these people would have said that they wanted to be a part of the party before it was all popular for everybody to act like they was part of the party. You know what I'm saying? Just say that this is what you wanted to do and stand on it. Now everybody want to openly say, you know what? I don't like what the Democrats is doing. This is not the party of the people. Just admit it. Just own it. Let's get into it, man.
Now let's move on to some politics and social media where some of you, no surprises, you're just continuing to piss me off. Why? Because every time I make a comment that's critical of the Democratic Party or the left, I get accused of being a pundit for the right. Prior to the election cycle, I voiced my concerns about Joe Biden and his ability to serve as second term as president. Then Biden stepped on the debate stage in late June and revealed what many suspected. He embarrassed himself. The White House and the Democrats eventually switched to Vice President Kamala Harris when he stepped away, who ultimately ran what some would say a valiant presidential campaign, at least in the eyes of some, that ultimately fell short with voters across the country. I pointed out my concerns with the campaign and the Democratic Party along the way, and many of you wanted to accuse me of being a voice for the right. So you know what? I feel like it's time to set the record straight because ain't nobody hiding, ain't nobody running. Okay? Let me be very, very clear. I'm a registered independent because I don't trust either side.
Lies, lies, lies. Lies, lies, lies. And this is the first thing that I got to call out. I'm reacting to this in real time, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. Lies. You know why I always say? I hate when people say I'm a registered independent. You know why? Because usually registered independent is usually people that vote for the Democratic Party. They've never voted Republican, but they don't want to just own it and say, you know what? I'm a straight up Democrat. I'm a straight up Democrat. I've never voted Republican before in my entire life. I've always voted liberal, but I'm a registered independent. What does that mean, man? You're a Democrat. Just say it. You've been voting Democrat your entire life. I
think both sides are full of it on so many levels and so many circumstances. It's nauseating.
Yeah.
But I also want to take a moment because a lot of people out there on social media have been saying to me, here, Stephen A., you take these positions, you're frustrated with the Democratic Party, but then you voted for Kamala Harris against Trump. Why?
You've been watching my videos.
I believe that Donald Trump has been a divisive figure.
Lies.
And I was thinking coming into this election that the last thing we needed was 4 more years of what we saw the last time, where there was so much strife and so much division that even though the economy clearly was doing well under his watch before COVID struck, it was just too much for the country to take. I was fearful of civil war in this country.
Cap.
It wasn't so much that
I'm going to call this BS out as I see it. Cap. Capalicious. Captain Crunch. Captain Jack Sparrow. Cap. Just all cap. This is all lies. Nobody thought it was going to be no civil war in the United States of America. Shut that up, man.
Those theories.
Get out of here, bro.
Supportive.
Nobody was worried.
White supremacist, and he was this racist and all of this stuff like people were saying. I didn't engage in that incendiary rhetoric because I've always believed that Donald Trump was just somebody who did things that were politically expedient. If supporting one side was going to generate votes for him, he would flow with it. And if it was not going to support his cause, he wasn't. It's just simple. It's just that simple. Why did I say that? And why did I refrain from that incendiary rhetoric that was thrown in his direction? It was because I knew Donald Trump before he ran for president. And black, whites,
and
male,
you switched
females,
up on
and
him like everybody else.
Got along with him great.
You switched up on him like everybody
So for all of a sudden, everybody to stand up and act like he was this pariah was BS. But I was also acknowledging he didn't help his own cause. From the moment in 2015,
if you knew who Donald Trump was and you was friends with him, then that means that you a snake like everybody else and you switched up. Call it what it is. You switched up on everybody, bro. I don't know, man. I'm so likely to turn this off. I don't even want to hear it. I might just do a separate video for the Anton Daniels channel. Cab!
Stroll down those escalators with Melania. The man offended 50% of the population back then in 2015.
How?
Came across as xenophobic in the eyes of many.
How did he offend anybody?
It just seemed to go downhill from there. So after he served his 4 years in the White House, I didn't want to repeat all of that. But I didn't call him a racist. I didn't compare him to Nazis.
You hedged your bets. You hedged your bet.
I didn't sit up there and accuse him of befriending white supremacists and all of that stuff. Because I knew no matter what people believed, they were trying to politicize it. So when I thought about him against Kamala Harris, I said, excuse me, let me make sure Republicans are in the House and the Senate. You have somebody that's going to work with both sides in the White House, and we'll have peace domestically. That's what I was thinking. But under no circumstances was I this raving supporter of Kamala Harris. I saw her during the primaries in 2020.
What bullshit? That is obvious bullshit. That guy was...
Whoa!
God damn.
Whoa!
It's like Pinocchio.
Whoa!
You know, it's like Pinocchio.
Oh, my God.
20. I saw that she couldn't get to Iowa. I saw her comments about transgenders, particularly those in prison that wanted sex changes. I saw how incoherent she appeared in communicating what her objective would be when it came to the economy. I know for a fact that she was supposed to oversee the issues involving the border. Yes, like Roland Martin said, she wasn't the quote-unquote border czar, but she was perceived as such. I also saw her go on The View and categorically deny that there was any need to change anything that Biden had done, even though over 12 million people crossed the border illegally, and you were acting like there was no border.
Yo, this is he late to the party. You having conversations that we done already had, all in July, all in August, all in September, all in October, and all in November. Listen, don't sit here and make a case of why you shouldn't have voted for it, but you voted for it. Man, shut this up, bro. What are we talking about?
Border crisis.
You're just ranting. You're not really
I saw the duplicitous tendencies. I saw the inconsistencies. I also saw the hypocrisy. And as the election came about and ultimately unfolded, and I saw Donald Trump win convincingly. No, he did not get 50% of the...
He not saying why he voted for it. He's saying what he noticed and that he did, what he ignored, and he still voted for it.
Popular vote, as the Democrats are so quick to point out. My attitude to them is shut the hell up. Nobody wants to hear that now. Who cares whether he got 50% of the vote or not? He beat you in the popular vote and the electoral college vote.
Yes, he
swept
voted
the
for
swing
it.
states.
He voted for it, Jody. He
improved his numbers in every demographic imaginable. Blacks, Hispanics, women. He beat you. And the American people spoke, and they spoke flagrantly. And from that moment forward, I'm like, damn all of that. We're going to support the fact that he won the presidency. And I'm going to tell you where I'm at with it. And that doesn't mean I'm going to become some registered Republican, because I still find them a bit shaky. But when I see Attorney Bragg in New York trying to convince the judge and the courts to treat Donald Trump as if he's deceased, as if he has died, just to make sure that your convictions on those 34 felony accounts remains a part of the record, it just shows another level of patheticness, if that is such a word, that creeps in.
It's not a word. I don't think. I'm going to look this up. I'm going to look up patheticness while he's talking. Give me a second.
Again, you can't let it go.
I'm pretty sure that's not a word, though.
He is the president-elect of the United States of America. In January 20th, he is going to be the president of the United States.
I guess it is a word.
You want to sit up here and waste taxpayer dollars.
Patheticness is a word. I was wrong.
And literally go before the courts.
Patheticness is a word.
To do everything you can to make his conviction a matter of record, knowing he ain't going to get any jail time. You're not going to be able to incarcerate him. You're not going to be able to fine him. Sir, it's over. It's over. Democrats, it's over. It's over. I'm going to say this before and I'll say it again. You know what I would do if I were Joe Biden, President Joe Biden? Especially since I basically gave the Democratic Party the finger because you kept saying, we follow the rule of law, we follow the rule of law, we follow the rule of law. And then you went and you circumvented all of that to get to pardon your son Hunter. Since you were willing to do that, if I was President Joe Biden, I would pardon Donald Trump.
Let me go ahead and read the rest of the
crazy,
super chats. I'm not doing this. I'm not about to do this. I'm not even about to waste my time sitting here going back and forth. I'll do a more extensive breakdown on Anton Daniels' channel, and I'll release it today. Because I just don't. I need to take a break, and
it's overwhelming.
I just need a minute. I'm not doing this right now. This is so
overwhelming.
corny.
It's just stupid crap. Stupid crap from stupid crap people. They're not saying anything. They're bitching and trying to defend this bullshit position. Just bullshit position, man. It's obviously that guy's full of shit. Obviamente. Okay?
Atroz.
I don't know if we want to do another one because Anton sounds like he's tired of this shit. What we got?
Look at this guy right here. Let me show you.
You wish you were white. Man calls Anton a seller because he speaks proper. Oh, jeez.
Or something.
That's hilarious, too.
Look at Reggie Red. Look at Reggie Red, y'all. Reggie Red says, this ninja really wish he was white, bro. Reggie Red is the personification of a Dusty. He is one of the people that I like to use as an example. When did becoming intelligent, being focused, not getting in trouble, and not going to jail become a white thing? Before we get into the happiest place on earth, when did not getting into trouble, keeping your nose clean, having your freedom, and not walking around with any diseases, no venereal diseases, when did that become a white thing? You see how we programmed y'all? You see how ignorant we are? You see how dumb that we are? Do you see the type of men that's available for women and that is on these apps that's shooting y'all shot in y'all DMs and telling y'all, hey man, I'm a good man? When did it become white to make smart decisions for your children? When did we ever mention anything about white or black in this conversation? Do you see why y'all children can't go to school with their children? Do you see why I don't want my daughter in the same classroom as your son? Because when your son go home, this is the type of ignorance that he got to experience. So then when my daughter say, ooh, teacher, I know the question, your son say, you a lame. Separate yourselves. We're the only culture, black people in particular, is the only culture that feel entitled to be a part of everything just because of the color of your skin. I'm going to just tell y'all, white people separate themselves from trash white people. Asian people separate themselves from trash Asian people. They absolutely, please, do never feel as though you have to stay inside of a culture and be obligated to prove yourself to people like this. Remember that. Separate yourself. You do not have to accept being a part of the Dusty gang. This guy right here, he couldn't get past my security. He would never be able to get past my concierge. They would arrest him on sight. I'm sorry, sir. What are you doing here? Yeah, we profile. And you should too. We profile. When we see people like Reggie Red riding down our street, we call the police immediately and have him pulled over, stop and frisk. Because we already...
What's the Reggie Red look like? Where is he? Reggie Red, that's the guy. Just looks like a standard black guy to me.
What are you doing here? Yeah, we profile.
Oops, wrong one.
And you should too. We profile. When we see people like Reggie Red riding down our street, we call the police immediately and have him pulled over, stop and frisk. Because we already know that he has something on him that he's not supposed to have. Either got that Fenty on him, got an unregistered pistol on him. He's part of Black Lives Matters and he don't have no driver's license. Driving on a suspended license, no insurance. The front of the bumper is falling off. Probably got 3 baby mamas thinking that he really did something because he was getting boxed. A couple different STDs that's incurable. No health care coverage. No education. Dead out the wazoo. And he probably, is mad because his boss at Amazon is going to fire him. You have to separate yourself from these dusty dudes. You have to. I'm sure he's probably still trying to be a rapper, spitting them lyrics. A hot 43 years old, still talking about, oh, you think you white, hasn't grown up. stay with a chick that is on Section 8. Come on, y'all. Listen, we gonna have to start profiling. We can't keep letting these people be dusty in front of us and thinking that it's okay to not shame them. Y'all gonna have to shame these people. These people are some of the dustiest ever. Ever. They are dusty. Dusty, you got to start shaming them. They don't qualify to insult you. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all gonna have to realize that you are the kings and queens and you are literal royalty. Do you know that these people don't qualify to be able to shake your hand, but we oblige them because we're nice? You're going to have to start shaming these people and helping them to understand that you are at the bottom rung. Nobody cares about what you think. You saying anything to me is an insult to me for listening to you. And one of the reasons why you're watching me and I'm not watching you, and then I'm sitting here insulting not only you, but your entire lineage. Your parents are disappointed in you. Your mother don't like you. Your father wish he never had you. Your children don't know you. Your children will be in debt. Your children will be asking my children for a job. Your kid is going to ask my kid for a job one day. And she will have sympathy for you. She will have a soft heart. And she will invite you into the mailroom to go and sort the mail and make sure that she got her fries hot on time. You're going to have to understand that you're not in a position to talk to me. I am royalty. You are a peasant. You are a court jester. You speak in emojis. You speak emoji. I don't talk emoji. My text messages have full sentences. You speak emojis with no periods and no commas. What makes you think that you are in the same bracket to even be able to walk down the same street as me? Bro, if you was walking down the same street as me, my security would tell you to get across the street now or else. And I wouldn't even say nothing. I would say, hey man, let him breathe. Let him walk. You speak emoji, dog. You are a 13-year-old in a 45-year-old body doing Uber Eats, and you better have my food here on time and hot, or I'm going to give you a bad rating, and they're not going to let you deliver Uber Eats anymore. I'm going to give you a bad rating. You've never opened up a business. You've never actually funded anything or put anybody to work. You've never put any money in anybody's pocket. You've only been a nuisance. You're a social science experiment, bro. You're nothing but the dirt on the bottom of my shoe. I see you and then I don't see you anymore. Like, you're erased from my memory. You're not memorable. Nobody will remember your name. When you die, they're going to cremate you and nobody is going to ever think about your ashes. Nobody is going to pay for your funeral. They're going to have a fish fry just to bury you and they'll never remember you again in your life. You should really rethink what your life is before you ever feel the need to insult kings and queens that is changing the trajectory of how people think, influencing culture, and putting money in people's pockets. Bro, if you was gone tomorrow, nobody would check for your location. Nobody asks you for your Find My. Nobody wants to know where you at. The only reason they want to know where you at is to know where they're not going to be. Nobody checks for your Find My. Think about that for a minute. If nobody cares about you, if nobody is trying to check your location, if nobody is asking for your stats on Fitness Plus because they're trying to compete against you for the best version of themselves, if nobody is actually asking you, do you want something to eat today, because they don't care about your well-being, if nobody is checking on you, bro, you are nothing. You are but a vapor. Your only relevance, listen, this is the highlight of your life. Think about this for a minute. This will be the best moment of your life. You finally got somebody that is relevant to acknowledge you and say, you know what? You are
Dusty incarnate.
Culturally relevant to be used as an example of what not to do. Your name is Reggie Red with 2 D's. You don't even have a LinkedIn profile. You don't have a LinkedIn profile. You got a picture in your minivan, dog. And the top of your profile picture ceiling is dirty. You drive a 1992 Ford Explorer, the ones where the tires was being recalled to Firestone tires, and they had to sue the company. You still trying to put rims on your car. You still think that Dayton's is popping. You can't go on vacation tomorrow because you still got to go to work. And if you don't pay your bills, your cell phone is going to get... You a Metro PCS phone having nothing. You're a nothing to me.
Wow.
Nothing. I see you on the street every day. I pass you by and I pray for you because I feel sorry for your family. I feel sorry for the person that had you. You're nothing. You're absolutely but a vapor to me. Absolutely not. The only thing I want you to do is make sure the Armor All on my tires is covering everything. Don't miss no Armor All on my tires. And I'm going to tip you good. And you're going to eat good for the day. Just remember that. Delete your profile, dog. Start over. Have a different mindset and then come in and approach me with respect. And stop thinking that speaking well or being able to articulate yourself effectively is white. That's called being an American. Being human. All right? Okay, Pumpkin? All right.
You know, it's one of those things where you get on somebody's bad side and they just take a big shit on you. You know? They do. They just take this giant shit on you. And that's what Anton just did to this red guy. But the thing is, I see people talk shit at each other like when I was younger, when I used to bother hanging around people. I don't bother anymore because I'm in my 50s, I'm old, I'm tired, I don't give a flying fuck about anything except my cats. And they won't be here forever. They only live like 10, 15 years. You know what I mean? So I just don't have any reason to give a shit about anything. I feel sorry for all the generations to come, all of them, because they deserve better than what we give them. These kids, these innocent ones deserve better. And we're the pieces of shit for not putting ourselves aside and putting them first and trying to make sure that they were properly educated and you know, taken care of, raised to be strong, you know, instead of weak and vulnerable to the man, as they say. Yeah, Anton, you got to understand that wealthy people, any wealthy person, I've known self-made millionaires, dude, they are in a different caliber. They're in a different tier of reality. When they focus on something, they mega focus on it. When they break it down, they see every part of it. They're not geniuses. They're not perfect. They don't have all the answers. But they do know exactly how to stare you down, control you, and essentially get what they want out of you. That's for any wealthy person. That's how they got their money. They figured out how people work and they screwed them. Okay? They screwed them. That's why they got what they got. You know? That's why, you know, I personally don't feel bad about things that have happened in the past because I knew that it was going to be that way. I knew that there was a good chance that I was going to be completely screwed. But I just didn't want to believe it. You know, nobody wants to believe that they're going to be completely screwed. But yet it does happen. Okay. I'm making a pretty good haul here. Yeah, it's okay. All right. So let's see. We're at an hour and 15 minutes. I don't want to play another Anton, or not on this video. So I'm going to stop this video and take a little break for a moment, do some things, and I'll continue right here. All right. Thanks for watching.